So welcome. This is meant to be a quick demo of our mail service. Okay, so first is this is our admin in which you can create users, you can create distribution lists, do forwarding and so on. So let's start with our mailboxes where you can actually create or edit mailboxes. So here you've got the editing of a mailbox, and you can have multiple domains. You can create uh, uh, users in multiple domains. You can reset their passwords. You can enable mail archive for that user. So you can selectively have email archival, and you can deactivate a user mailbox, and you can have an alternate email ID. And so we have got this option of hybrid email service, and which means that you can have some users on another service like Office 365 or a G Suite. And when you need to create a user who's on that service also, so that our service knows that that user exists. So you should mark that user as is hybrid. Okay, and in those cases, you can also bypass spam filtering for that user. And you can also apply policies. So here you will get the details of the space actually used by the user. And here you can see you can allocate space for the user. So then you've got email distribution lists. Okay, so you can create mail distribution lists. So this is, so you can have this, in this case, this ID is team@mailservice25.com. Okay, and these are the users who are there in that list, and you can select other users. Okay, and you can activate or deactivate it. You can set a maximum mail size to be, which can be sent to that email distribution list. And you can decide, you can set a policy on who can send mail to the email distribution list. So you've got multiple options. Anybody can send mail, any group member can send mail, anybody in the domain can send mail, or you can have specific users who can send mail. Okay. So for example, you can list some external IDs who can send mail, and then select the last option, that is specific users who can send mail. So this is about the mail distribution lists. Then you can set up email forwarding. Okay, so you can select a particular email ID and then have emails forwarded for that ID to other users. Okay, and you can also forward mails to external email IDs. Okay, as usual, again, you can activate or deactivate it. And then you've got policies for mail. Okay, so you can set policies like maximum email size. Okay, and then you can block all incoming email and give some exceptions here. These could be domains or email IDs. Okay, and then you can similarly block outgoing mail, and but you can give exceptions. Okay, so you can block outgoing mail and but allow for certain domains or certain email IDs. So these are all the policy related options. Okay, and then you can have multiple domains. Our service is based on space, uh, not on email IDs or domains. So you can add multiple domains. So this is in brief the admin interface. Okay. So next now we'll go to webmail. Okay. So this is the webmail. So you can, as you can see, it has got a rich interface. Okay, and you've got all the typical options: reply all, forwarding, and so on. And you will get all details of attachments, everything here. It's a very contemporary 3-pane interface, and works properly on a browser also. Similarly, for composing mail, you will get a rich editor. You can see you got a rich HTML editor, and you can create rich emails, and you can attach files. Okay, so here you've got the options of attaching files. So all these options are there. And then you also have in settings, you have settings where you can of course do some customization of the user interface, how mails are displayed, composing, and so on. And you have things like filters. Okay, so you can create filters. So here you can have a filter to automatically process some mails. So based on various fields of the mail, okay, and the, the logical operation for that field, okay, whether it matches, contains a string or something like that, and then what is the action to be taken in case that match happens. Okay. So you can delete it, you can move it to a folder, you can send a copy, and so on. So all this is possible. Okay. And, you can have some automated responses also. Okay. So all these things are possible. So in brief, it's a very user-friendly, contemporary looking, but at the same time, clean interface for webmail. Okay. And then we've got a groupware interface also. So you can, so groupware is also a webmail, but with the addition that it has got shared calendars and shared folders. So in terms of the email, again, it's a very contemporary email. You have a rich, uh, you have a rich interface and all these things. Okay, and same you can do rich mail composition and all these things. Uh, but here, what is different is you've got shared calendars. So here you've got calendars, and you can create events in the calendar, which could be a meeting, right? And you can have multiple calendars. You can have shared calendars, or you can give permissions on your own calendar. Okay, and you can have multiple. You can invite users. So you'll get users from the users directory. Okay, and when you add them, you can see their free busy time. Okay, for the event. So this way you can do it with multiple users also, and you can create an event, and they'll get notifications. So all this is possible with the shared calendars. Similarly, you have shared address books also. So you can have you can create address books. Okay, and add an address book. Okay, or you can on your own address book you can give permissions. Okay, sharing. Okay, so you can add users to view your address book. So uh, you can have a common address book, say for example, and you can give fine-grained permissions, and you can decide, for example, who can access it and what they can do. So, for example, the sales team can create a common address book which they can share amongst themselves. Similarly, finance team can have a common address book. So, all this is possible with our groupware module. Then we come to our files service. Okay, so this is our file service. This is the interface, and here you can store files, you can create folders, you can give permissions. Okay, so for example, here we can create a folder. Okay, and this is accessible with the browser, or it can also be mounted as a drive on your system. So we'll create a subfolder here. Okay, and then here you can create permissions. Okay, so here this is the sharing icon, and here you can decide who can access and what permissions they will get. So for example, you've got this user Prabhu. Okay, and then you can decide what permissions Prabhu will get. Okay, so you've got allow editing, creating, deleting. So you can remove delete permissions, for example. This is a very common requirement which customers have. You can set an expiration for the sharing. Okay, or you can unshare it. So all this is possible. So what can be done is from a central account, you can create folders and give it to different teams. And these can also be team IDs. It need not be just users, it can be groups. So you can create groups and share it with them. And different teams, you can have different members. So this way you can have a file server like permission structure. So this can act as your file server in the cloud. And then you have in settings, you have this WebDAV access. So WebDAV is a standard protocol. So you can use this to mount this share as a drive on your system. So once you mount it as a drive on your system, it means you can do copy paste, you can do double click. So if you double click on a file, then it will open with the standard application on your system. And incidentally, here itself, you can edit documents, you can do all these things here itself because this supports all standard formats. So for example, you have this, click this, and it will open in the edit window. Right. So now you have this and you can edit this in your document. And so we can go back. And meanwhile, this is edited and saved. So this way you can edit spreadsheets, you can edit uh, like documents in standard formats. You can edit presentations also. So all that is possible. So these are all the common features of the file service. Mainly you have a file service, which is very user friendly, accessible with a web interface. It can be mounted as a drive on your system, and you can have folders and permissions. And you can also have online editing, and it can also be collaborative editing. That is, multiple users can edit the same document at the same time, and you will be able to see who's doing what when the collaborative editing is happening. So very briefly, this is about our mail service, the various modules and the features.